Welcome to a new segment, what I'm going to call Buffalo Live in Overtime. You can only see this on the YouTube channel, and it's going to only be about 5 to 7 minute mini clips of me, going over some of the top news of the week. This week, we're going to cover multiple different topics. Most of these videos will probably be toward the end of the week. Because the podcast is on Tuesday, it comes out on Tuesday. We'll maybe have something like on a Thursday or Friday, or something coming out Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just small little clips that will have either a similar tie to the podcast, or just different topics from the podcast. It's just what I feel like talking about. Maybe if something I didn't hit well in the podcast that only got maybe 2-3 minutes on the pod, and then maybe we'll make a video. Maybe I'll decide to make another video of me just explaining in more detail on my opinion on that particular topic. So again, these can only be seen on the YouTube channel, so please subscribe. The podcast is on Spotify and on Amazon. In today's video, we are going to be talking about K'Andre Miller, the New York Rangers defenseman who spitted on Drew Doughty. I think it was on Saturday. After the puck got stopped by the goaltender of New York, a scuffle happened like a normal NHL scuffle, and when Drew Doughty was encountering K'Andre Miller spat on Drew Doughty. Drew Doughty did not say anything to K'Andre Miller. All he just did was go to the referees and say he spat on me, he spitted on me, and he then after a review, K'Andre Miller was given a match penalty for his actions. He is supposed to get a hearing. I think it was today, maybe Tuesday, on the incident. But K'Andre Miller did come out and apologize to he apologized in person to Drew Doughty, and also said something. He also, on Twitter, he wrote, "I have all the respect in the world for Drew Doughty, and what happened was completely accidental." And he wrote that in a Twitter statement today. "I would never intend to do something like that on purpose. It goes against everything I am as a person and a player. I felt awful about it, and I am thankful Drew gave me the opportunity to apologize and explain myself after the game." I don't know how the NHL is gonna. The question that many are asking is, why did K'Andre Miller decide to spit on Drew Doughty, and what is the NHL going to do about it? In my opinion, the NHL has to give K'Andre Miller a hefty suspension. Why? One, obviously, K'Andre Miller is not a repeat offender, but he spit on a player in New York State, which the game happened in New York. I would assume every other state has this law or rule, is that technically spitting on a player is a crime in New York State and in the Brooklyn area, where Madison Square Garden is, kind of in that area. It's considered assault. Spitting on a person is literally considered an assault in New York State. So, obviously, K'Andre Miller, wasn't trying to commit something like that, or is Drew Doughty definitely just not going to open up a police report that he spitted on me? He certainly could. By the way, he certainly could. But the NHL has to do more than just give him a 3-game suspension for spitting on a player. That is just plain up disgusting for what K'Andre Miller did. And I think the NHL has to back up its own player, Drew Doughty. I mean, even though he was given a match, obviously he was giving a match penalty. When the NHL does their hearing with the NHLPA, I think the end result is that he's going to be suspended anywhere from 10 to maybe 20 games. And that could potentially mean he's out for the rest of the season. I mean, do you think he will be back in time in the playoffs? Yes, I think if the Rangers make the playoffs, obviously they're going to have to make a run. I think K'Andre Miller will be back before the playoffs. The apology, he goes, I would never intend to do something like this on purpose. It goes against everything I am as a person and a player. To me, the apology is kind of cliche. We kind of hear this every time a player does something stupid. In this case, what K'Andre Miller did was stupid. Even though he had the opportunity to apologize, I mean, spitting on a player is just wrong and utterly disgusting. It could make Drew Doughty sick. It could potentially cause maybe, I don't know what spitting on a person can do, but it can definitely cause some bad things to happen to Drew Doughty because you don't know what K'Andre Miller has with him in his germs. So that is my opinion on Drew Doughty. I mean, K'Andre Miller spitting on Drew Doughty. I think K'Andre Miller should get at least. That means I wouldn't mind more. Is that he should at least get 10 games. If I'm going to put a cap on it, what he might get, I think he can get up to 20 games. I mean, he can definitely be suspended for the rest of the season. And if the Rangers make the playoffs, he can come back in the playoffs. Or maybe he misses a game or two in the playoffs. Because of his disgusting act, I think that the NHL definitely will try to take this to the fullest extent. I mean, 5 games, I think it's too light. 10 games, it's, to me, is okay. It's in that okay range. It's fair. But hey, 20 games for spitting on a player, hey, take it to the full extent, because I certainly wouldn't be happy about it either. I mean, I would be furious. I mean, the way, just think of this. Someone came up to you and just spit it on you. I'm being honest. I would take that personally, and I wouldn't really, I would allow the person to apologize. It's whether do I really accept the apology. I don't know. It would take me a bit, I'm just gonna come up to you and that's your sign of defense. It's just to spit on me. It's disrespectful. It's disgusting. It's stupid. Honestly, just look at it. I mean, come on. You don't do that as a guy who's getting paid to play in the NHL. You're playing a little kid's game. I mean, a 4-year-old, honestly, would not have the idea of just spitting on another player. So these kids look up to you, right? I mean, there's probably kids right now, maybe not a lot, but there are some that are looking up to K'Andre Miller. Obviously, he's a black NHL hockey player. He's one of a few black hockey players to get up to the NHL. So there's definitely some kids looking up to K'Andre Miller and like looking at him like it's kind of a bad thing for K'Andre Miller, because there's kids looking up to him, and now he could, not saying he is a bad role model, but in some people's eyes, he's not the person that they thought he was going to be. Overall, K'Andre Miller is a good player. He's a good hockey player. I believe he's a good person. I don't think this one incident tarnishes his reputation. I mean, he hasn't done a lot right now in the NHL, but he definitely maybe pushed some wrong buttons for spitting on a player. And back to the way Drew Doughty handled this, he handled it in the most fashionable way. I mean, I don't think fashionable is the right word there, but he handled it in the most, the most human responsible way, which is walk away. Many people in that case would drop the gloves immediately right there and go fight the person and not allow the other person to apologize. But Drew Doughty just walked away, asked for a match penalty, or just asked for a penalty, and he allowed K'Andre Miller to apologize. One more thing before we go. I know this one is a bit, I said 5 to 7 minutes, but I said 5 to 10 minutes. I took the first minute and a half to explain what these videos are going to be and what they're going to be about. In this, for the next minute or two, I'm going to talk about the Sabres trading for Ryan Steelman. We gave up a couple low-end prospects for him. He is 24 years old. He played with the Vancouver. He played 32 games this season with the Vancouver Canucks. He also, I'm kind of blanking right now. He missed 14 games this season with a shoulder injury. He's 20, like I said, he's 24, he's 6'1", he's 196 pounds, he's 5 assists on the season, no goals, so 5 points. But what I think, the intention of Kevyn Adams trading for Ryan Steelman was a younger defenseman that could bring some physical play. He had 122 hits in the 2021-2022 season. I mean, that's a lot. I mean, I think over he played like 70 games. I think he played like 70 games last year. Let's see if I can quickly pull it up. I have it right up here. My internet's been running slow. He only played 52 games last year. He had 122 hits. He averaged, 15 minutes and 4 seconds on the ice. So he's a guy that can give you 15, 20 minutes a night. At 24 years old, he can hit. He's not afraid to lay the body. He has how many hits? He has 52 hits this season in 32 games. So he's playing a pretty good game. He's not afraid to lay the body. At 6'1", 196 pounds, he's tall, but he's on the light side, and he could still still not afraid to lay the body. He also can block tons of shots. I mean, he's a guy that Kevyn Adams and Don Granato would like. He's a guy that Donnie Granato, like I just going to repeat myself, Donnie Granato and Kevyn Adams going to like. He's a guy who's willing to brace his body, block some shots. He wants to hit people. So at 24 years old, he's the perfect example of what the Sabres are looking for out of their young defensemen. I say he's a depth piece because we have so many young defensemen. As I don't think he's just gonna another thing that this guy brings. He's a left shot. He shoots from the left side. I think the Sabres have a ton of righties. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I will check that. I will check up on that later. But he's a left-handed shot. Just another guy that the Sabres can just flip-flop and just instantly just flip-flop with somebody. So again, he's a depth piece. Something that teams are going to need down in as they go further and further into the playoffs and further into the rest of the season. So depth is important. So I don't mind the trade. Do I think the Sabres can do better before the March 14th deadline? I 100% agree. They can do way much better than just getting this younger depth role player for the Sabres. To me, maybe I have a certain schedule that I planned out this week, but I think I'm going to change that. I think the next video, my top 5 for, I think that would be in the next Buffalo Live overtime episode. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for tuning in. It was a bit of a longer one, but next time I'm going to do a 5 players the Sabres should trade for before the March 3rd deadline in 5 minutes. I will keep my word on 5 minutes. If I don't, you can let me hear it. All right. This was Buffalo Live in overtime.